Struggling to tell when your food is cooked properly? You're cooking exactly to the time that's outlined in the recipe, and yet it's still undercooked. How is that possible? You have the same weight of ingredients and you've cooked it exactly the same time. So how is it undercooked? It doesn't make sense. Today, we're going to break your reliance on recipe cooking times, and we're going to learn how to recognize when everything is cooked perfectly. And we're going to do it step by step, ingredient by ingredient, cooking Mexican fajitas. But first, I'm Brenton. I've been cooking with natural ingredients and without recipes for years, and I'm going to help you do the same. Alright, here's the problem with cooking times from a recipe. It assumes that your pan is the same as mine, which it's probably not. It assumes that your stove is the same as mine. It also assumes that you're cutting your ingredients exactly the same size as mine, which you're probably not. They're never the same. The pan's different size, it holds heat differently, the stove probably cooks at a different pace. You see, a recipe's cook time is a guess. It's a pretty good guess, but it's a guess nonetheless. But what's not a guess is what's happening inside your food. So let's cook some fajitas. We'll go through each ingredient and show you when it's cooked, and then we'll go over the principles of how this all works and give you some tips to help break your reliance on cooking times. Alright, let's cut up some onion. Make sure your onion is exactly the same size as mine, because I'm going to give you the cooking time to cook too. Nah, I'm just kidding. Onion's going to go in first, so the pan is hot enough when it makes a sizzle sound. Alright, throw it all in. Whoa, yeah. You don't want to have it too hot that it burns, but you don't want it too cold that it doesn't cook properly. So about a medium heat. That sizzling is key. If there's no sound and it's silent, then it's not hot enough for the onions to start cooking. A little bit more oil, and then a little bit of paprika. Who would have thought? And I'm going to use a little bit of cumin as well, like that, and then a bit of salt and pepper. So a little bit of seasoning, and that should cook with the onions, like so. You can see how some of them are starting to go translucent, whereas other parts are still thick and really white. So the really white is obviously not cooked yet, and the translucent is starting to become cooked. A little touch test. So if I touch it with the tongue, some parts are really sort of soft, and then other parts are really hard. The hard is obviously not cooked yet. Now a smell test. So you should be able to smell that sweet caramelization of the onions. You can obviously smell the spices that I put in there, but you should also smell the sweetness, and I can't quite smell that yet. Taste as well. Have a little try. See, that part was getting close to done, but this big one here is still hard, like a raw onion almost. This is the perfect example about what I'm talking about here. So you can see all the thin ones have gone translucent and are pretty close to cooked. The larger ones are still, they almost look raw, don't they? Some of these ones over here that are larger have cooked a bit better because that was sitting on the top. All right, I'm going to take these off. They're pretty done now. You could add water if they dried out. I just added more oil this time. So they're done. We'll take them off, and then we'll cook the capsicum and the corn. Is it a green capsicum? Is it a red capsicum? Well, it's a capsicum. Christmas capsicum. Slice it up. Ta-da! Christmas in a bowl. All right, it's time to get a bit corny. So we'll just bring this guy like so and chop it up. All right, the capsicum's going to go on next. Same heat, same pan, same day. All right, wait for it to be hot enough, I think. Oh yeah, the sizzle means it's hot enough. On a medium heat, you can hear it's louder than the onions. They have more moisture, it's going to be louder. That's the right thing. All right, I'm going to add the corn at the same time. They take roughly about the same time to cook. Mix it all through. If it looks like it's going to dry out, add a little bit of oil to it. And I like to add a little bit of salt to bring out the flavors. So capsicum, we're looking for charred spots appearing on the skin. You can see here, charred starting to come along. Deep colouring and still holding some structure. From a touch point of view, you can touch it. It should be softer than it normally is, but not too soft that it's completely lost its structure. The smell. Oh yeah, I can smell the capsicum and the corn, and you can smell the sweetness coming through. That's a good sign that it's almost cooked. Sight for the corn. So you want to see how some of them are starting to brown. It's important to keep turning them over so they're all getting cooked, but the brown is where it's starting to cook now. You can see this one here, a little bit of a spot of brown. That's what you want, those brown spots on the corn. From a touch point of view with the corn, you can see this one has a little pop, and then this one here, not quite done. It's a bit firmer. So the pop means that it's done. All right, smell. Oh yeah, the popcorn smell coming from the corn tells you that it's done. If you can't smell that yet, it's not done yet. All right, turn it off. Let's have a little try of everything. Be careful, it's hot. Oh yeah, that's done. What about this capsicum here? Yeah, you can taste it. Always taste it. All right, we're going to take this off the heat and put it in the bowl. We want to cook the chicken separately because the chicken's probably the hardest part, the thing that everyone makes a mistake on when they're cooking, to overcook or undercook the chicken. All right, we'll turn the heat off. They're done. So they're done, which means that we'll take them off. We don't want to cook them with the chicken and then overcook them. We've got them to the exact right level. Let's cut up the chicken. Fajita calls for chicken in strips. The size of the slices that you cut really makes a difference as to how long it cooks. So I'm cutting it about this size. The perfect size for what I think is the perfect fajita. All right, now that it's all cut up, let's go and throw it on. You're going to be excited with the lack of dishes that we have to clean. Same pan again. A little bit more oil. There we go. And should we throw it on now? No, we wait until it's hot enough and it's about to sizzle. Important. All right, chicken in. So, oh yeah. Now, the important part here is not to crowd the strips. So we don't want them to be on top of each other. They need a bit of room. I always turn it down as well to a low to medium heat. You don't want it too hot and cook the chicken too quickly. Typically, the slower it cooks, the better it comes out, a little bit softer. And if you have a look in the pan now, you can see it start to change color slightly. So when they start to change color to the white from the clear, it's time to flip them over. All right, you can see it's starting to, this one's getting quite firm. And some of them, what you want is that firmness. If it's squishy still, that one's a little bit squishy. It's not quite ready yet. Oh yeah, it should smell toasted and a little bit charred. All right, they're done. I'm going to now cook the second batch of the chicken. I know it's quite tempting, and I have the same temptation as well, to cook all the chicken at once. But the overcrowding means that the pan can't heat up quite as well, and it doesn't cook properly. Garlic. Now, garlic is really quick to burn. Only 30 to 60 seconds when cooked, depending on the temperature, and it's done. You can put it right at the end of the onion cooking, so just when you're about to take the onion off and then take them off together, or you can do it now, which is what we're doing, right at the end, just slightly cook it and then add everything else to the mix so that it doesn't cook any further. Pan just under medium, plenty of oil, wait for that to heat up, and then garlic on. And then we'll go through exactly when we know that garlic is cooked. Garlic on. You can hear just a gentle sizzle. You don't want the sizzle of the capsicum or the onion or the corn. It needs to be really gentle. So mix it around in the oil. Make sure it's in that oil. Hear that gentle sizzle? Beautiful. You're looking for the barest hint of gold at the edges. Nothing more. You can see it's just starting to get a little bit of gold. It's almost done now. The touch doesn't really matter as much with garlic, but the smell is pretty key. So you can just smell that garlic. It literally 20 seconds ago that garlic started to come through. So I turned it off. If it starts to really become a strong smell, you've gone too far. All right, let's throw it all together. So in the chicken, the corn, the capsicum, the onion doesn't want to go. Yep. And then we're going to turn it back on just gently and mix it through. So literally on low heat, just to get the warmth through. We don't want to mix it through because we don't want to overcook that garlic. Because remember, it's on the bottom. And then, look at that. I know, I'm as excited as you are to try it. Oh yeah, that smells fantastic. So the important point to note here, before we go over the principles, is that when everything's cooked to the right level, it brings the most flavor out of each ingredient. When everything's cooked too much, overcooked, it can destroy some of those flavors. And that's when you're reaching for jar sauces or extra things to add in to try and bring flavor in. Whereas all these ingredients have huge amounts of flavor. The caramelization of the onions, the capsicum, the sweetness from the capsicum and the corn. Beautiful. So let's run through how we know when each ingredient is right to cook or done. So when it comes to sound, so sound is a key part of knowing when the pan is ready. That sizzling sound means that it's the right cooking temperature. So looking at your food, so the sight of everything tells you when it's starting to be cooked. So that char grill sort of look on the capsicum when it starts to go black and the little brown spots on the corn, it shows you it's starting to be cooked. The color change on the chicken and obviously the translucent onion from the really white sort of onion really shows you that it's starting to be cooked. Touch is pretty key for a lot of ingredients. So meat is a really key one. So with chicken, it's really rubbery and really soft when it's not cooked, and then it goes a bit harder. It can be still soft when it's cooked, but a very different soft. It's like, it's spongy. Last but by no means least is the smell. So the smell of the onions. You're always walking down the street and you can smell, someone's got a barbecue cooking. You can smell those onions. They're nearly ready. The cooking rules to know that something's done, it doesn't depend on time. As we've gone over, it can vary depending on your pan, your stove, and all those sorts of things. So what you want to do is you want to use your senses to understand when each ingredient is cooked to perfection. And today we've used obviously small sized ingredients because we've cut them up into little pieces and we've done them in stages to make sure they're all cooked each to perfection. However, because we've used little pieces here, if you have big pieces of, say, meat, like a steak or something like that, it's harder to tell whether it's cooked in the inside by smell and by those sort of senses. So I'd recommend getting yourself a little thermometer for those jobs. If you're liking the content, like and subscribe. Yeah. If you like this video, you're gonna love this one. I promise.